Present. Paulson.
Present.
Slaughter.
Present.
Thomas.
Here.
And Buffalo.
Here. We're going to move on to 2.01, our first presentation for tonight, high school specialty program update. Dr. Pohl.
And thank you, Ms. Moore Buffalo. And Dr. Griffin, our Executive Director of Secondary Schools and Programs, is going to come up and share the presentation with us.
Some of the folks in the audience are indicating they can't hear.
So we can talk closer to the mics. Just bring it closer to you.
Test your mic real quick.
Testing. Oh no, I can't hear you. Testing.
School plant, can you guys check the mic on the dais, please? The remote.
Testing. Testing.
Testing.
Is it?
Testing. Testing.
Slow.
Testing.
Hard to hear.
Testing.
You may have to turn the volume up. School plant is handling the sound today.
Use your outside voice.
Your teacher voice.
Use that teacher voice.
Can you do that?
I hear something. I hear it.
Test 1 2.
There we go.
Test 1 2.
Testing. 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 Okay. Good afternoon, School Board Chair, Ms. Moore Buffalo, Vice Chair, Ms. DeCalagero, Dr. Pohl, and members of the School Board. Thank you for the opportunity to share an update on Norfolk Public Schools specialty programs. I am the Executive Director of Secondary Schools, Specialty Programs, and Alternative Programs. Today, I will walk through the purpose of our specialty programs, how we support access and our equity, what our application enrollment data are telling us, and what the steps we are taking in moving forward. Specialty programs are designed to expand educational choice by aligning learning with student interest, strength, and aspirations. Participation is optional, and not all applicants are accepted due to program capacity and eligibility guidelines. That balance is intentional and helps ensure program quality and student readiness. Across Virginia, many school divisions offer specialty, magnet, or choice programs at the elementary, middle, and high school levels as part of a broader commitment to providing diverse academic pathways with public education. These programs offer rigorous, relevant learning experiences while allowing families to make informed decisions that best meet their students' needs. At Granby High School, the International Baccalaureate program continues as an authorized IB program, affirming its alignment with intentionality and recognized standards for academic rigor, inquiry, and global perspectives. The program is coordinated by Ms. Heidi Kirby, who is the IB coordinator. At Maury High School, the Medical and Health Specialties programs is strengthened through partnerships with local healthcare organizations, providing students with early exposure to clinical learning and career-aligned experiences in the health sciences. The program is coordinated by Mr. Travis Mazzell, who also serves as an academic advisor. At Norview High School, the Leadership Center for Sciences and Engineering offers a rigorous sequence of honors and advanced placement coursework, including AP Capstone, supporting both academic preparation and leadership development. The program coordinator is Ms. Catherine Aurora. At Lake Taylor High School, the Leadership and Military Science specialty is closely aligned with the school's NJROTC program, reinforcing leadership, civic responsibility, and disciplined academic engagement. The program is coordinated by Master Petty Chief Officer Charles Clark. At the middle and elementary levels, specialty programs focus on early exposure, identity and development, and building strong academic foundations. The Academy for Discovery at Lakewood is a fully authorized international middle years program by IB, where students develop inquiry skills, global awareness, and reflective learning habits. The Academy of International Studies at Rosemont offers a thematic, global focus program centered on world languages, world cultures, and global citizenship. Students select one of two pathways, world languages or military science, through the Navy League Cadet Program. Both pathways provide a rigorous course of study that builds leadership, discipline, and culture awareness and a strong global knowledge base. Campus Academy at Ruffner emphasizes inquiry-based, project-driven learning that strengthens critical learning and collaboration. Southside STEM Academy at Campostello provides hands-on STEM instruction connected to real-life problem solving. At Blair Middle School, the pre-med specialty introduces students to health sciences beginning in the 6th grade and continues through the 8th grade. Young Scholars at Rosemont, coordinated by Ms. Carla Steed, is a school-within-a-school program for highly motivated learners identified as gifted in general intellectual aptitude or specific academic areas. Teachers trained in gifted pedagogy provide research-based instruction that supports cognitive, emotional, and social development for lifelong learning. Together, these programs form a coherent K-12 specialty pipeline across Norfolk Public Schools, allowing students to explore interests and deepen them as they progress through the division. Access and equity are foundational to how specialty programs operate. Access begins with awareness. Families must know what opportunities exist, understand timelines, and feel supported through the application process. Equity means that information is shared consistently across schools and communities and is not limited by familiarity with a system or location. Our approach supports students and family choice while recognizing program capacity and readiness. Access and equity are embedded in how we communicate, support, and structure these opportunities. In practice, access and equity are driven by collaboration. Counselors play a central role in guiding families through program options, timelines, and application requirements. Teachers provide thoughtful recommendations that reflect student readiness, strengths, and academic habits. I want to pause here to acknowledge our counselors and our teachers. Their partnership ensures that specialty programs are not only available, but accessible in meaningful ways for families across the division. Application trends reflect broader enrollment patterns, family mobility, and the range of academic options available to students. It is also important to note that not all students choose to attend a specialty program. Many families are excited about attending their base schools, and our comprehensive elementary, middle, and high schools work intentionally to build strong school cultures through transition activities, summer programs, and early engagement. Application numbers inform planning, but our focus remains on appropriate placement, program quality, and student success across our division. Looking at the specialty applications across 2025, 2026, and 2027, we see both consistency and change. It is important to note that the 2027 application cycle is still in progress, and final data continues to be reviewed. This reflects an active process rather than a final outcome and demonstrates sustained interest across multiple years. Middle school specialty applications often represent a family's first entry point into specialty pathways. As reflected here, application data includes 3 years, whilst 2027 is still in progress. Elementary applications for the Academy of Discovery and Campus Academy tend to mirror their middle school application programs. The Ghent School, however, has a larger applicant pool because it accepts students at multiple entry points, including kindergarten, based on space availability. This year, Ghent plans to accept 60 kindergarten students and has already received over 100 applicants. Campus Academy and Southside STEM enroll defined numbers of students from outside their attendance zone, specifically for specialty programming. At Blair Middle School, the pre-med program, sure, sorry, okay. No, thank you. I appreciate it. At Blair Middle School, the pre-med program accepts 60 to 65 students beginning in 6th grade and supports them through 8th grade. These programs build on learning from year to year, which is why students are not admitted into specialty programs in the 7th or the 8th grade. Families seeking additional academic challenges are encouraged to work with their building level principals and administrators as well as counselors to identify appropriate supports for students within their school if they have not been selected for a specialty program. High school specialty applicant data reflects continued interest across programs with variation by year and by program type. Interest in these programs is important, but alignment between student readiness and program expectations remain essential. Five-year enrollment trends allow us to monitor representation and identify patterns over time. Specialty participation is an option, it is not a mandate. Not every family chooses to apply. Their decision is respected. Our responsibility is to ensure that all students are aware of the opportunities available so families can make informed choices for their students. Gender trends provide insight into participation patterns over time and help inform discussion about access and engagement. This data supports reflection and continuous improvement rather than evaluation or comparison. Choice schools are public schools that do not operate under traditional attendance zones. Enrollment is based on student interest and seat availability. Because these schools are not tied to residential boundaries, clear communication about capacity and application expectations is essential. Sharing seat availability supports transparency and helps families make informed decisions early in the process. Five-year demographic and gender trends for middle school choice program understand participation patterns and guide outreach efforts. They help us do this. Early access and awareness play an important role in shaping long-term opportunities for our students, and this is just our middle school trends by gender. Moving forward, our focus remains on collaboration, transparency, and sustainability. Specialty program nights will continue each October, providing families with an overview of all programs. In addition, each specialty program hosts its own specialty night at their individual schools, and these events do not overlap, allowing families to attend multiple sessions if desired. We will continue partnering with our counselors, our teachers, our program coordinators, and thoughtful ways to make decision-making aligned with division properties and working within our schools and our communities. Thank you for your time and your continued support of Norfolk Public Schools Specialty Program, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. Can you all hear me? Thank you for that presentation. School board members, you've heard the presentation. Are there any questions? Well, I have one. I'll start us off. So is there transportation for the specialty programs?
Yes, ma'am, it is. If students are accepted into a specialty program, transportation is provided.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know off the top of your head what is the capacity for the program at Campus Della STEM? How many students they'll accept for that program?
I don't know the capacity, but I do know that over the years that I've been here, that they do have a capacity that exceeds at least about 30 or 40 per grade level.
Oh, okay.
But they also have their base students that are also a part of that program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which program are you asking about?
Campus Della STEM.
Yes.
I have a similar question.
Yes.
So looking at the high school applicants.
Mhm.
So my question is, there's fluctuations from year to year.
Mhm.
So is that based on availability, or are we just not attracting students from year to year?
So-
for some years. So.
Right. So no, I think that some of the fluctuation is about the applications as well. Last year, we changed our application process our first year, we changed it to a Google form, and that was very accessible, I think. Parents really jumped on that. This past year, we've gone into a different platform so that we're having, families to work within their schools to get it done with synergy. But the other part about that, which is very important to me, is that many of our families are choosing to go to their base schools, which as the secondary executive director, I'm very thrilled about, because that means that they're building a culture within that school that students want to come. So I don't really look at it, as a deficit with them not applying. I'm sort of looking at it as in a plus way that our schools are finding ways to support all of our students, regardless of whether they're a specialty or not.
So what happens then if we have high enrollment one year and then it's less, maybe students are choosing to stay at their primary, their school, their district school. So then what happens to staffing then for the specialty programs?
So,
Or other impacts that I'm not,
Right.
maybe not asking.
So in the years that I've been here, our enrollment has not dipped enough that it would affect our staffing. Our high schools usually, especially some of our more popular high schools, usually will have an overabundance of applications of students that want to come, and they are maxed at capacity. Some of our schools that maybe don't have as many applications as others, they have students within their school that also participate in some of these classes as well. So I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, Dr. Pohl, as long as we have the students that are taking the classes, staffing is not affected.
Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Basine?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Griffin, for the presentation and for all the information that
Speak into your mic.
Gosh, I moved it closer. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Again, thank you for the presentation.
Sure.
So if we could go to slide 8,
Sure.
The slide that shows the application trends. I know you said a lot of families are choosing their base schools or their home schools, and that slide, that seems to show that there is some trend in terms of applicants to the different programs. But how do we know that it is because they are choosing their base school over a specialty program versus the barriers that may exist for families? So it's like, how do we know that with data to support that?
One of the ways that I would say is that I work with Tiffany Hilly and Sullivan, who's over our counselors, and I meet with our counselors twice during the specialty application program. All counselors in all of our schools meet with students, and they talk with students about the application process and the options that they have as far as specialty nights. I do believe that when I spoke with Tiffany this last time, every year that since I've been here, there have been applications from every single elementary school and every single middle school applying to a specialty program. So to answer your question, there is no hard way for them, unless I talk with them, but I would just in talking with the counselors and knowing what the work that they're doing, even helping families complete applications, and even calling and asking, when students are interested, if they're not bringing their applications back, they're calling the families to get those done. I would say that we are making sure that there are no barriers as far as the access to the applications and how they're being filled out and turned in.
I'd like to add a little bit of that too, Ms. Basine. Thank you, Dr. Griffin.
Yes.
Slide 8 also it talks about applicants. So that's just the numbers that apply.
Right.
So the barriers to applying are minimal, because a student can apply even if they don't meet the requirements. They can still choose to apply to the program. So when we look at the acceptance and the demographics, that tells us more of who's getting in, and that tells us more of the barriers that we might be facing. So when you look at the acceptance and who's in there, male, female, what race they may fall under, that tells us, are we, like when you look at our data on slide, was this? let's see
Probably
here.
my part
On
of my
slide
next question.
Yeah, on slide 14,
Yeah.
you can see,
Right.
where even though our population of students who fall in the white racial group versus the African American racial group, is less, it's a reverse applicant. So we need to look at those barriers at that point, not necessarily on how many applied for it.
Yes. Yes and no. Just from past experience and past reviews of our specialty program, the application process in the past has shown that there were barriers to that, even down to, because it relies on human beings, whether it's parents, whether it's counselors, which all come with their own set of biases around whether a student should apply to a program and whatnot. And so what we saw before in the application process, even in the eligibility requirements that we had for schools, like Lake Taylor High School and Booker T. Washington, for instance, had lower eligibility requirements than some of our other programs. And so those are things that back in 2017 we looked at to try to improve upon so that our applications went up, like we started doing the big open houses and making sure information gets out. So there's potential at the application process and at the enrollment process where there could be barriers to access to these programs. And so that's kind of where I wanted to see this program by program, what the applications were and then what the enrollment looked like at each of the programs. Because I think that is really, these are, from what I could see, enrollment all, kind of lumped together. And so I think it's important for us to look program by program and then also have an understanding of the number of open seats in each of the programs. So if we have right now, 60 to 65, open seats, or that's how many seats are in the IB program or at Blair Middle School or whatever, and do we have them fully enrolled? Those questions I think we need to really look at. For me, the broader question, and like I said, we did a full in-depth review of our specialty programs in 2017. That was the last time I recall we did, and that was before a lot of people in our administrative team were even here. And so one of the things I think, especially as we're having discussions around school closures and consolidations and how do we provide level up opportunities for every student, is to do another evaluation of all of our programs to ensure that is the demand there? Like, if you're saying that, people are really wanting their homeschool or their base school over specialty programs, are people desiring specialty programs or magnet programs? Are they still beneficial for our student body? Do we need to expand them to be school-wide, for instance? Like, I think we need to have a real data-driven examination of what our opportunities and what are potential barriers that exist for our students and families to participating in this as we continue to strengthen the programs. Because I think we've come a long way since that 2017 report. And so, I'd like us to continue to see where our students are today and what people want, out of the program. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to my colleagues about, if there would be any support for doing that kind of evaluation, especially as we're in the ed planning process and school closure consolidation process.
I would be in support of that. Dr. Pohl, in your experience, some school districts do have like a evaluation schedule that they go and evaluate programs to see if they're still making the impact that initially they were looking for. So I will be in support of that. I had something else I was going to say, but I lost it.
And if I could add to that too. So, and you gave a very, a wonderful overview of each of the programs. And one of the things that we looked at before is like, what are the goals? What are we hoping to achieve in each of those programs? And are we achieving that? Like at Southside STEM Academy, it's supposed to, is it being implemented with fidelity? Whether I'm using Southside STEM Academy as an example because that was one of our newer programs that I've asked in recent years to have a review of to see, is it a full STEM academy over there and what we need to do to ensure that it is a STEM academy of 2027. And same with, the IB programs. They have a different, I wanted to compare it to that because there's an authorization process with that, right? And so there's a built-in system of evaluation with that, but how do we create something similar for the other programs that we're providing? So that's the reason why I'd like to encourage us to
I also
support a
would be
review.
interested in knowing what the percentage of students who are in a specialty program are in that program at their home school. I don't know if that was said before I got here, but that would be an interesting data point.
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
To get an idea what the percentage of students in a specialty program at a given school where that is already their home school. So what percentage of students zoned for Maury in the medical specialty program are zoned for Maury?
Got it.
Because that might bring some light as to why some of our programs are not as seen as popular as others. If they're not drawing students from around the city.
Okay.
So, Ms. Moore Buffalo, in response to yours, yes, if it's been since 2017, we're due for a program evaluation of our specialty programs. We have a partnership with Hanover. I can talk with Ms. McGarity, who leads that work with ARA, and if the board supports it, that's something we can put in for a program evaluation of our programs and really look at, more in depth than an overview of what we would do here. And that way it would be a much larger study to be done, which would take, of course, more time. But absolutely, I think if it's been a decade, they're due.
Is there anyone else? Questions? Oh, hearing none.
Thank you
so
very much.
Dr.
Mrs.
Griffin.
Moore Buffalo.
I'm
Just
sorry.
I just had a quick question too. So the specialty programs versus the choice programs. If you could talk a little bit about the difference between that again, just so we're all clear, and then how, if there are open seats in those programs, how is it? What is our process for ensuring an equitable access to those open seats if we do open it up to other students to participate?
So our choice schools are schools that do not have an attendance boundary. For example, ADL does not have an attendance zone. All of those students that are in ADL are applicants that have applied and have gotten into the school. For example, Blair is a traditional zone school with a specialty program. So that's sort of the difference. A lot of students that, to your point, Ms. DeCalagero, a lot of students that go to Blair want to be in that medical program and will apply for that. As far as the equity part about that, I go back again to counselors having nights with their families, informing them of these opportunities within our school. When we do our October night at Norview High School, it's packed. We have families that are there and they're asking questions and they're able to hear from all of the choice and specialty programs. I am always accessible. I talk to parents all the time with questions, and my secretary would talk about any questions that they may have to ensure that there is a level of understanding and that any of those mitigating situations that would maybe make it inequitable, if I can do anything about it, then I do. It's really important for me that every student has the same access to these programs. Now, on the other side of that, some of our programs are very rigorous. For example, young scholars, right? Young scholars,
gifted,
you
right.
have to be a gifted
Identified.
student in order for you to attend this program. So not all students, you may apply, but if you're not gifted, then that kind of takes you out. However, all of our programs have strengths. Some are more popular than others, but all of our programs have strengths. And I think as we're talking about equity, I think we also need to look at, again, how many of these students are graduating from our specialty programs. And that's one of the things that, we're looking at for the 3 years to see how many are graduating from our high schools in these programs. So I'm looking forward to doing the program evaluation. I would love to see it. I've worked very hard over the 3 years to strengthen it. Our numbers are over 1,000 every year with students in Norfolk and outside of Norfolk. I laughed today. We had someone from Hong Kong that applied for our specialty program that was moving to the area. So the word is getting out that we have very strong opportunities here in Norfolk, and we'll continue to do what we can to strengthen them.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for
Thank
that.
you.
And I know you and the administration have been working hard to strengthen our programs. And
Absolutely.
That's evidence in the desire that I hear in the community of people wanting to, participate
Yes.
in them. And finally, my last question, and this may be something that you might have readily available or may come out of a fuller program evaluation, but when we talk about equity, just also ensuring that our students with disabilities, our EL population, and our economically disadvantaged are also accessing, I didn't see that information in the presentation, but if that is readily available, I'd love to see
I
that.
actually do have that
Okay.
here. I did not put that on the slide, but I can definitely have that for you. That's no problem.
All right.
All right.
great.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Dr. Greco. Board members, we're going to move down to 2.02, Superintendent's Non-Negotiable Number 2. Dr. Pohl.
All right, thank you. And our resident data expert, Ms. McGarity, is on her way up to present the data for non-negotiable to both the first and the second measure.
Welcome.
Okay, I have Dr. Agnew Scott is coming up with me to help with any questions. Okay. All right. So, good evening, Chair Moore Buffalo, Vice Chair DeCalagero, all other board members, guests, and Dr. Cole. So, we're going to review today non-negotiable 2.1 and 2.2. Closer? Yeah, I can use my big voice. So with this non-negotiable, it is about staffing. The goal, I'm going to read the goal, I keep calling it a goal, I apologize. The non-negotiable is that the superintendent will not allow underperforming schools to have low teacher fill rates for prolonged periods or make extensive use of substitutes, low-performing, or provisionally licensed staff without implementing a high-impact strategy. So that is the overall non-negotiable. We have updated the definitions due to the changes in the state system. So previously it was accredited with conditions, and that was because accredited with conditions used to be about student outcomes. No longer, we talked about that at the last meeting, how that has shifted. So the data provided is based off of any schools that are in the off-track or the needs-intensive category on the new SPSF. So I wanted to make sure we highlighted that's where there is a shift in the data and what that definition is. So with 2.1, with that piece, we're talking about the percentage of off-track or needs-intensive support schools that are not fully staffed on day one. With this data, we continue to have not have fully staffed schools when we're looking at it holistically as a division, as well as if we're looking at these specific 26 schools that fall into those categories. With that, and when I say it's also 100% of the 26 schools were not fully staffed by licensed staff on the first day of school, but across the whole division, we had one school that was an on-track school. It was Ghent School. So that is still an area of challenge across the board, but as well for this non-negotiable, the 26 schools listed. What's going well is the strategy in place with our EELC locations. They have the high impact strategy there is that there's a stipend for the teachers who are working in those buildings at all 5 locations now. Those 5 locations are Booker T. Washington, Ruffner School, J. Cox Elementary, PB Young Elementary, and Southside STEM Academy. So again, what's not going well really kind of is reiterated directly from the data is having fully licensed staff to staff schools with. The strategies in place, the ones listed here for the what we're kind of doing next, the few that were in place already, we talked about the stipend, but also that human resources staff, they're prioritizing these schools. As we know, we just got the data recently for the SPSF, so we went from the 18 schools to more, which is 26. So even not knowing, because there was a chunk of data where we really weren't even able to predict that this year with the new SPSF. But also early contracts in place, innovative marketing strategy, and with some tweaks that we heard when Dr. Agnew-Scott and Ms. Schilling presented, that they're strengthening the supports for the associate teachers and those kinds of things that was in place previously, but they are strengthening what those are so that we will even be able to increase those numbers of associate teachers. Going beyond that, the items from the presentation with Ms. Schilling and Dr. Agnew-Scott, that the reorganization of the HR department, so really kind of focusing on specialization, and please jump in if I misstate something, with specialization, but also recruiting staff and also retaining staff, licensed teacher, implementing a business partner to support, and with the outside organizations that are being used, as well as one of the pieces is, and I, even as a former teacher, I love this idea where they're, with the teacher transfer portal, they are doing specialized open houses for teachers on the transfer list who are interested in those schools so they can actually see what those schools, so if it's kind of one of the, the feeling is sometimes schools get a bad rap, that unnecessarily for some reason that they are having open houses and providing substitutes for the teachers who may be on the transfer list so that they can get in, meet leadership, see the buildings and those kinds of things. So that is one of the big, but those are in place to happen this year. They are not, the data is not reflective of those last few because they are ones that are to be coming. So that's for 2 and I really can't see at all. The second one for 2.2, are they both open? I apologize. If you don't mind opening that other one, I'm not touching them. So with 2.2, those same updates to the non-negotiable overall. With the data, is that one? Yes, the next document. I'm so sorry. This is 2.1. Still, I apologize. So moving to 2.2, and I'm chunking this together because a lot of it is similar. With 2.2, the outcome, this goal is, or non-negotiable interim measure is about the percentage of off-track and needs-intensive support schools that have that high level of provisionally licensed, those kinds of things, is they won't go without a high impact hiring strategy in place. So previously we were at 22.2% of our schools. It was 4 out of the 18. Thank you, Ms. Tanner. And now for this past year, data going into this year, we're at 19.2, so we've seen a reduction in that percentage. However, there has been an increase by 1 school. We just have a bigger denominator now because there are more. We had 18 schools before. We now have the 26, so it did bring down our percentage, but there is an additional school, which is that bringing on that 5th school with the EELC with the stipends. Really, the pieces that are what's going well, what's not, those are really the same. So there's not a lot of variation in what those strategies are and things, because the strategies mentioned before will also, that we could say going into next year with the specialized transfer, open houses for teachers and those kinds of things, that is much more of a high impact strategy for these areas, and the data going into next year should reflect how those things changed at that point. So that is all I have for presentation wise, and we are ready for questions if you have them.
School board members, you have heard the presentation. I see Ms. D. Calagero and then Ms. Basine.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding progress measure 2.2 correctly.
Okay.
And I was confused about this yesterday. So given that we have underperforming schools with low teacher fill rates, these are the percentages of those schools that have high impact teacher staffing?
Have high impact hiring strategies in place.
And so what are those strategies?
That's the EELCs with the stipend.
Okay, that's our strategy.
Yes, for those 5 schools.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sure.
Ms. Basine?
Yes, so along those same lines, with the high impact strategy with the stipends, so we also had Ignite, which was only at Lindenwood for a period of time. And so if you could speak to whether those stipends are going well, and if they are not, what other strategies are being considered. And I asked that because when I've looked at, and I've, sitting in this seat over the last few years, and we've talked about this a lot when we've talked about HR, that we have the same schools year after year with higher teacher vacancy rates, and that's still the case with the EELC schools. Like nearly every single one of them are on the list of having, lower fill rates than some of our other schools. So my question is if that is our high impact strategy, and it doesn't seem to be moving the needle, and it's been that, we have schools and students, most importantly, who have had, uncertified teachers in front of them. At what point are we going to say that is not a high enough impact to make a difference? And then how long are we going to wait to change that strategy?
So I'm going to let Dr. Agnes Scott take that one.
Okay, so we're speaking specifically, I want to make sure that I understand the question. We're speaking specifically about certified teachers or those with fully licensed.
Right. Well, yes, and specifically around the stipends. Because if that is the strategy that we are using and investing our resources in, and we are not seeing any movement on the vacancy rate, and I think the associate teacher program is also one of our strategies, which has been, great, especially those that then become certified, are on the path to being certified. So, it's just, how are we moving the needle? And if we're not, when are we going to change that strategy so that we can make sure that we turn this around where those students are being placed with certified teachers before any other schools that are already in a better position?
So I think there are 2 different matters that we're speaking of here. We're speaking about certification, which means going through a process that is required by the state, and effectiveness. So really, in terms of effectiveness, I've done some research on this, and there are several things that define effective, for teachers, but it may not necessarily equate to certification. It's really about training. It's about them having the necessary resources to assist them in becoming effective. So just to give a little information, it may veer off a little bit, but I think it is relevant to...
And that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. So that's,
it is relevant to what was presented. So research really does not point to any one particular strategy. Because as you mentioned, we have stipends that are provided to, our EELC teachers. But that's just one of many strategies that would be necessary to assist in filling vacancies at our low-performing schools, well, just any of our schools in general. So what most effective looks like from a district standpoint, it's early open, faster hiring to eliminate late vacancies. That's number one in terms of research. And also the learning loss that, that comes with them. The second is targeted transfer plus retention incentives aimed at hard-to-staff schools and measured effectiveness. And then stabilize school leadership and working conditions to stop the churn, to stop that turnover. And I know that came up in last month's conversation as well. That's pretty high up on the list. And then the fourth one, in terms of high yield, is residency plus grow your own pipelines as a long-term vacancy prevention system. So as you've heard, all of those things we're implementing. All of those strategies didn't start at the same time. Those strategies actually have been layered on. And that's usually what you see in terms of an overarching strategy to increase vacancies. You try something, if that doesn't work, then you layer on the next strategy, and you continue to layer on until you find the good mix that helps you to fill the necessary number of vacancies. So just to more specifically speak to each of those areas that I mentioned in terms of the 4 high-yield areas. So early hiring, at this point we've begun a rolling recruitment strategy where we are recruiting all year long. We don't just recruit when it's time for school to start. We're recruiting from the time school opens all the way through the summer and into the next school year. So we're always hiring. So if HR is not hiring for the current year, commitments are being made for the next year, and that's how we have that year-round strategy. Also, HR is saturating media outlets throughout the year. I'm sure you've seen commercials on Wavy 10. That's not just during hiring season. That's the entire school year. As a matter of fact, we have a big advertisement push that is going to come out during the Super Bowl, which, we found that is a targeted, time for, there's a lot of viewership during that time frame. So that's another strategy that we're implementing. Also, our sponsorship on Parenting Unscripted. I'm sure you've heard radio commercials. We have radio spots on local stations, and you'll soon be seeing billboards within Norfolk city limits. So there are efforts for early hiring, where we're hiring early and hiring often. Using targeted money to move and keep strong teachers in the hardest schools. So there are some studies that show there's some earlier evidence from North Carolina that found that targeted bonuses reduce turnover among eligible teachers in hard-to-staff contexts by about 17%. So there's a lot of research out there that does, to your point, it does suggest that retention bonuses or any type of stipends to assist in attracting and retaining teachers in these schools, it is definitely a high yield strategy. But again, it's not that alone. It's that amongst a myriad of strategies. So, and you mentioned Ms. McGarity, you heard Ms. McGarity mention about the EELC stipend. It's $2,500 and was issued in October, so that continues to be a strategy amongst, you need me to wrap it up?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I was just telling you I had a question.
You give me a mic and I'll share some things with you. Okay, so anyway, the last thing that I want to talk about is the building our pipelines that reliably fill or feed hard-to-staff schools. So this is the residency programs that we have. We have partnerships with VCU as well as ODU. So we are building those. I was just on a Zoom earlier today with VDOE with a grant that is targeted is targeting school divisions who are looking to have more teacher residence programs. And so those are some things that we're looking at as well. And then finally, of course, for Grow Your Own, there's the associate teacher program, which has yielded a number of very effective teachers. You heard from 3 of them last meeting. But there are a number of strategies. And like I said, there's not just one. It really boils down to a number of strategies being implemented together, and then finding that right balance, that right mix of strategies to help us grow our own, as well as, filling our vacancies with good, solid, effective teachers.
Thank you for laying that all out and for diving into all of the strategies that we're using. I just want to be clear that my question was really centered around and that you helped answer a lot of it, but one of my questions is, this interim measure is talking about for prolonged periods, right? And how we define that is what's unclear. And we've, like I said, I've been sitting here for a while, and we've had prolonged periods of the same schools with the same number of vacancies, and in some cases they've gotten worse, over the last 5 years. And so, again, I'm kind of back at, these strategies are strategies, that, I've been hearing about for some time now, and it's the question is, what are we going to do differently? And so, and what are the results? So those are the strategies that are in place, but what results are they producing? Because right now, I think the associate teacher program is really promising, and I'm excited. Like when I go on school visits, and principals are excited to show me the classrooms and the amazing work our associate teachers are doing, that fills me up with, feeling hopeful that this is turning around. So I'm really glad that that program is in place and that we're working to strengthen it. But as far as the stipends and bonuses go, I'm not seeing where it is resulting in real targeted improvement in acquiring and retaining teachers at the schools that need it the most for the students who need it the most. So one of the things, we talked about in our budget 101 is that those are the things in the budget, I'm going to be looking for, how do we accelerate that to a point where those schools that need it the most, the bonuses and the stipends and whatever incentives that we need to do to fill those teacher seats is happening at those schools, because I don't want another year to go by for those students in those schools where teaching and learning is not as optimal as it should be. And so just want to put that out there. So I'm going to be looking for what's different, what are we doing differently, and what are the results that our strategies are producing.
So the things that I mentioned are things that were not happening prior to last school year. Mm-hmm. So those are things that are different. Right. Unfortunately, those strategies have not been in place long enough for us to have a lot of hard data, other than the fact that we had this information, but again, the strategies had not been in place consistently since that time. I do anticipate us having more specific data specific to each of the strategies to see which ones are the ones that are most effective. That is to come. I think
that's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is to come. That we don't want to waste our time on strategies that are not effective. Right. However, we have to continue. We can't wait for one thing, to see its effectiveness and then try another thing. We have to throw everything that we can at the problem to assist us in getting a solution. But, you know, we'll have to break that apart over time to figure out which ones of those strategies are the most effective. And those are the things that we're going to throw, you know, our efforts and our resources at once we figure that out. But in the meantime, you're going to see a lot of different strategies that we're implementing because we don't have time to wait.
Right, exactly. Well, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. DeCalagera.
Are we using any targeted online advertisements?
Yes, we're using digital advertisement. That's through our radio stations. Wavy 10 also is using that. I mentioned
That's not what I'm.
social media.
I'm talking social media.
Yes.
Geofencing.
Geofencing. Yes.
So like YouTube, like you could see. So my daughters love YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
They hardly ever watch TV. So the kids coming out of college in their early 20s are streaming.
Yes.
So they got targeted by TCC to go to TCC just because of some of the content that they were watching and, you know, what they were looking at. Do we have anything like that?
Yes.
So like a college student would be on YouTube and end up seeing an advertisement?
It may not specifically be YouTube, but Wavy 10, through our partnership with them, they have all different types of channels that they use that are social media. They're also, they're using a lot of online types of geofencing. So they, you know, we get together and we talk about various areas, geographic areas where we're trying to target. For example, if there's a particular geographical location where we know that there may be a loss of jobs, then we're, you know, targeting that particular area to let people know, hey, Norfolk Public Schools is hiring. If you're looking for employment, you need to come to Norfolk Public Schools. It's not called geofencing now. I forgot what it's called, but it is basically targeting a particular area.
And they don't have to be associated with TV10.
No,
Wavy
not at
TV
all.
information. So it's the same concept.
And we also have the same service through a radio advertisement agency as well. They do the same thing. They use the same strategy. So we have it going in from different avenues. And also our communications department is doing a fabulous job of, you know, advertising for us. And they've been very responsive to our needs. So we're seeing a big uptick in a lot of activity as a result of that increased effort.
If I could just add to one of the things I think it's important to note is this year, you know, we did an intentional push, and we're about 2 months ahead of previous years with the hiring cycle and with the scheduling cycle and with knowing what our needs are. So we'll be able to hire much quicker, which I think Dr. Agnew-Scott said was one of the top ways to make sure that we do staff is to be able to have those positions open earlier. So we were able to work with the entire team across the division to make sure that our timeline was such that we're going to be able to start posting, you know, mid to late February jobs for next year we know these jobs are going to be open for next year.
And I don't expect you to have any data on this today, but do we track when teachers leave? I know we get reasons, but are we tracking in any way teachers that are going to other school divisions? Because when I taught in Norfolk 20 years ago, the joke was get trained in Norfolk, make money somewhere else. So are we able to track any of that teacher loss to other divisions?
We are, based on that same information. It's just a matter of how you disaggregate that data for that purpose.
Thank you.
So I just have one question. So I'm going to go back to student teaching. So I know that the word on the street is that a lot of students are not going into education, but I got a little bird who told me that Norfolk State has 30 students coming out. So I heard a partnership with Old Dominion, TCC. Do we have a partnership with Norfolk State University?
So that business partner, that was one of our conversations. I think our partnership with Norfolk State could be stronger, but we do have a partnership with Norfolk State, and we are improving our response time for student teachers and practicum placements. As a matter of fact, there was an email that was sent out to all principals saying any and all. I think we had 80 practicum students, and that was from ODU, from Norfolk State, and I think, I'm trying to remember the other, but there was another college that was pretty high in terms. We've even had requests for student teacher placements from colleges. I can't remember the college or university, but it's pretty far away, like Midwest.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, as we get those in, we can't lose the opportunity to recruit. And so what we're going to be doing this year, our team is working on getting this together. We're handing out contracts to anyone who is doing a practicum placement near the end of their program, as well as student teachers. So, you know, they will be given a contract. So yes, we have to take advantage of those and encourage those at our, you know, colleges and universities, particularly those who are right here in our back door, to encourage them to send their students in.
Sorry to keep jumping in, but Dr. Agnew-Scott as well, you may want to mention that this year we're going to work with our NTC students to do guaranteed contracts for them if they get their 4-year degree and come back.
Correct. So we're reaching down as far as high school. We're also with VCU. That's the we're working with those who are getting their associates from TCC and going to VCU. So we're, like I said, we're building that pipeline as early as we can.
Right. Okay. Is there? Oh, Ms. Thomas.
I see a major problem, and I know, you know, teachers is an issue, but I see a bigger problem than the teachers, leadership of our schools. And I talk about this, and I'm going to continue talking about it. If we don't have great leaderships, we cannot keep great staff. And until we come to that, then we're going to have, the door just going to keep on turning. We're going to keep on losing teachers to other districts. And I just want to see that we need to break down leadership in some of the, even in the areas. Why is there so many schools in a certain area that have leadership as if sometimes they don't want to be there? You have teachers complaining. I wouldn't want to be somewhere that I knew I wouldn't feel comfortable, where I can put my all into and teach the children, and the children I also is learning. So that's what I want to see. I want to see us go in some of these schools we had issues from the parents to students, from staff. If they're talking about their principals, we need to go in there and see what's going on. If it's not a good fit, take them out. And I think we'll be able to keep more teachers in our buildings, qualified teachers, and substitutes too.
Well, we all know leadership matters, so on that note, Is there any other questions? All right, hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, school board members, we're down to 2.05. May I have a motion to go into executive closed session?
I move that we go into executive closed session.
May I have a second?
Second.
Miss Dr. Martin was second. And DeCalagero.
Move that the members of the school board of the city of Norfolk go into a closed meeting for the purposes which are set out in subsection A of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of the school board pursuant to subsection 2.2 3711A1 of the Act. The subjects covered by this exemption are the discussion of specific candidates for appointment to the position of superintendent and a discussion of persons and personnel actions included for vote on today's personnel report. Discussion or consideration of disciplinary and any other matters concerning students in Norfolk Public Schools that would involve the disclosure of information contained in the scholastic record pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A2 of the Act. The subject covered by this exemption is the discussion of students and disciplinary actions on today's regular student support report. Discussion of the award, terms, or scope of a public contract where discussion in open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A29 of the Act. The subject covered by this exemption is the discussion of the award, terms, and scope of a possible superintendent contract, and then consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A8 of the Act. The subjects covered by this exemption are consultation in connection with the matters set above in subsections A through C of this motion. Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo.
Aye. Board members, before we go into closed session, let's get our pictures for the state of the city. Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome to the Norfolk Public Schools School Board Business Meeting for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. A quorum is present to conduct the business of the school board. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Here.
DeCalagero?
Here.
Martin?
Present.
Paulson?
Here.
Slaughter?
Present.
Thomas?
Here.
Buffalo.
Here. We're going to move on to item 4.03. Ms. Ash, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
At this time, would you all please silence your cell phones and pagers for the remainder of the meeting? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for
All right, board members, we're going to move on to 4.04, adoption of the school board business meeting agenda. May I have a motion to approve the business agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the business agenda.
Thank you,
Second.
Ms. Slaughter, and second by Dr. Martin. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo.
Aye. We're going to move on to 4.05, school board clerk's report. Ms. Tanner, it's all yours.
Chairwoman Buffalo, first I'd like to thank our talented Norfolk Technical Center culinary students for the delicious dinner. Yes, give them a round of applause. They're here with us to our left for a delicious Parmesan chicken with homemade marinara sauce over farfalle pasta, topped with crispy chicken cutlet paired with a Caesar salad and Biscoff tiramisu dessert. Give them a round of applause. It was a delicious meal. The following students are being recognized under the leadership of Norfolk Technical Center chef Jessica Hardwick and CTE teacher specialist Monique Little-Ebron. Let's acknowledge and stand when I call your name. Lorraine Simmons, Romeo Bastilia, Jayla Carter, Alexis Clay, and Ariana Riviera. Over there. And Alexis Clay would share a few words about the culinary group.
Going to start real quick. I'm Chef Harwick. I got a chance to introduce myself to y'all earlier. Once again, I'm here with my dual enrollment students from the Norfolk Technical Center. So these students are taking their college level courses and their high school courses at the same time. They'll be leaving this year as seniors with 3 college-level courses, which they're able to transfer over at TCC and many other institutions, and I'm really proud of them. So we'll go ahead and let Alexis speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexis Clay, and I'm a senior at Norfolk Technical Center, where I'm a third-year dual enrollment student. I'm excited to share how the culinary dual enrollment program has positively impacted my education and future. This class has not only taught me advanced cooking and baking skills, but it has also given me real-world experience in running a business. Through this program, I've been able to grow my own small culinary and baking business, gaining hands-on knowledge in entrepreneurship and customer service skills. Additionally, the opportunities in this program have helped me win 2 state-level competitions. These competitions have helped me earn scholarship money and earn numerous professional certifications, which have given me industry-recognized skills that I can use both in school and in building my career. These incredible experiences push me to refine my craft and challenge myself. This has done more than just provided a kitchen, but brought me closer to achieving my academic and career goals in culinary arts. I'm deeply grateful for this program and the doors it has opened. It has inspired me to continue pursuing my passion, and I hope more students will have a chance to benefit from such an amazing experience. Thank you for your time and support.
Next, the school board is proud to recognize the outstanding accomplishments of our phenomenal scholar athletes for obtaining state championships for 2025. Give them a round of applause, please. First, I'd like to ask our board members and Dr. Pohl and our student reps to come to the front of the stage to prepare to acknowledge their accomplishments. Each team will receive an acrylic award to celebrate your victories. It'll be Dr. Pohl and then Chairwoman, Vice Chair, and then the rest of the board members. Wonderful. I will call your names first, and then you will please come forward to greet the board and Dr. Pohl. Please enter the stage on my left, which is your right. So where the cameraman is, that's the side of the stage that you will enter on.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. On the, here, do me a favor, Alfreda, come on this side between Sarah and Polson. They'll be coming, I'm sorry, on this side where Dr. Pohl is. Enter on that side and exit, and be careful going past the camera when you exit the stage. First, we will begin with the Lake Taylor High School Titan football team. Yes, with an impressive record of 13-2, who were named the Region 3A football champions and the Class 3 VHSL state football champions. Yes. Special recognition is extended to Coach Hank Sawyer for being named the VHSL Class 3 Football Coach of the Year. Coach Sawyer, please come to accept this acrylic award from the chair on behalf of your team and shake hands with the coaches and the players and the board first, and then I will call the names of your coaches and your players next. And while he's shaking hands, I want to acknowledge the coaches. Mike James, and come forward, Sean Banks, Tony Thompson, Santoyo Jones, Daz Palmer, Tony Church, James Barnes, Clarence Clanton, DeAndre Carter, Brian Moore, and Special Assistants Charles Clayton and Sandra Sawyer. and David Floyd. Yes. Coach Sawyer, stay on the stage. To have a great team, you have to have great coaches. And now next, we're going to recognize our Lake Taylor High School football team, starting with Isaiah Barnes Bowser, Isaac Brooks, Majero Clark, Mason Clark, Dominique Clanton, Terrion Craddock Young, Jeremiah Farabee, Lazarus Fraser, Keon Freeman, Jaden Gamble, Mason Gibson, Patrick Griffin, Jamari Harper, Kassan Hesson, Keon Johnson, Zion Knight, Rayshawn Martin, Peyton Maddox, DeAndre Moore, Rashawn Parker, Kamari Peterson, Keon Peterson, Kamari Reed, Amari Seymour, Makari Scott, Caleb Shortridge, Robert Taylor Pippins, Elijah Thomas, Emmanuel Washington, Caden White, Joshua Williams, Travis Willis, Sean Banks, James Barnes, DeAndre Carter again, Tony Church, Clarence Clanton, Charles Clayton, David Floyd, Mike James, Brian Moore. Let's give them a round of applause for their hard work this year. And as our players are strolling and shaking hands, please special recognition goes to two Titans who were named Players of the Year. Keon Johnson, the Offensive Player of the Year, and Devon Powell as the Defensive Player of the Year. The Titans also had several players earn All-State honors in Class 3. Congratulations on your successful football season. Coach Sawyer, would you like to share a few remarks?
Yes, I guess this mic works. I don't really need it. But good evening to everyone, to the Norfolk Public Schools School Board and all the administrators. Thank you for honoring our team. Thank you for the acrylic award. It is awesome. On behalf of the players and the coaches, we say thank you, and we strive to make Norfolk Public Schools the best there is. Thank you.
Next, the representatives for Maury High School Commodores, can you please come forward for the football team? The school board would like to recognize the Maury High School Commodores football team with a stellar record of 14-1, who were named the Eastern District Champions, the Region 5 Football Champions, and Class 5 VHSL State Football Champions. Congratulations on your three-peat. And special recognition is given to Coach Diary McCain for being named the VHSL Class 5 Football Coach of the Year. And they had two Commodores who were named Players of the Year, Domo Everett, the Offensive Player of the Year, and Isaiah Simmons, the Defensive Player of the Year. The Commodores also had several players earn All-State honors in Class 5. Again, let's congratulate the Maury High School football team. Diary McLean, can you come forward and shake the hands? And if you have any players present, they are welcome to come forward. And if you'd like to, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to share some brief remarks at the microphone.
Shout out to our track team for winning their championship. Shout out to my guys being champions, and thank you all.
And next, special recognition is given to the Maury High School Commodores Girls Outdoor Track Team for being named the Spring 2025 Eastern District Champions, Region 5B Champions, and Class 5 Girls Outdoor Track State Champions. What an outstanding accomplishment. Ladies, please stand to your feet. Ladies, will you please stand? Awesome. First, I would like the coaches to come and accept an acrylic award and shake the hands of the school board and with the track team. I'm going to read the names of the track players, and you guys come forward. Samaya Islam, Sam Baker, C.G. Bengano, Delaire Miles, Devon Oates, and Maya Say. These are the phenomenal coaches to help get the girls to this win. And again, you have to have great coaches to have a great team. And now we'll acknowledge our championship girls outdoor track team and bestow upon them their championship rings tonight. Yes. Please come forward when your name is called. Bria Bird, Chandra Cooper, Camille Vaughn, Zamani Askew, Addison Haskins, Nyria Wiggins, Jada Johnson, Sophie Sater, Makola Curtis, Sierra Morrell, Carlia Lindsay, and Mayana Wiggins. Let's give them a round of applause as they come receive their championship rings. And a side note here, Bria Bird was in first place in the 300-meter hurdles. Lindsey Vaughn and Cooper, Wiggins, Vaughn, and Lindsay took first place in the 4x100-meter relay. And Wiggins, Haskins, Lindsay, and Bird took third place in the 4x4-meter relay. And Bria Bird took first place in the long jump. Let's give them a round of applause. Oh, y'all can do better than that. We have some scholar athletes here who have made great accomplishments, great sacrifice to win these awards. And so parents and family members, we thank you for supporting your students and allow them to compete under Norfolk Public Schools. Thank you so much, and this then concludes our recognitions.
Thank you, Ms. Tanner, for your report. And again, congratulations to the teams. We're going to move down to 4.06, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Pohl.
Thank you, and good evening, Chair Buffalo, Vice Chair DeCalagero, members of the board, members of our Norfolk Public Schools community. This month, we're pleased to highlight two significant moments of celebration and progress across our division. First, we celebrate the excellence of our educators during our 2027 Teacher of the Year ceremony, where we had the opportunity to recognize outstanding teachers whose impact reaches far beyond their classrooms. I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations to our 2027 Teachers of the Year, Ms. Peters, our Elementary School Teacher of the Year from Berkeley Compostela, Ms. Ogborn, our Middle School Teacher of the Year from Academy for Discovery at Lakewood, and Mr. Pope, our High School and our Citywide Teacher of the Year from Norfolk Technical Center. Their dedication, professionalism, and commitment to our students exemplify the very best of Norfolk Public Schools. On a side note, I just want to mention they're the 2027 Teachers of the Year since they'll represent Norfolk Public Schools during the 26-27 school year. We also highlight the groundbreaking for the new Maury High School, an important milestone as we build a new high school, preparing our students for the future. And finally, I want to take a moment to thank our principals for their exceptional leadership and tireless work on behalf of our schools. We're proud to have celebrated National Principals Week last week, and I'm deeply grateful for the leadership, care, and commitment they demonstrate every single day. Thank you, and now Channel 47, roll the footage.
Students, NPS staff, city and state officials, and the community came out to celebrate the next step in a journey at the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Maury High School.
Today is more than a groundbreaking, but it is a promise to our students, our families, and our community that education remains our highest priority and our greatest investment.
For more than a century, our school has prepared students to lead, serve, and succeed. Today, we honor that legacy while taking an exciting step towards the future. As the very proud principal of Maury High School, I am thrilled to celebrate the beginning of a new chapter.
Both student speakers knew what features of the new school they were most looking forward to, and they were thankful for everyone's efforts in making this a reality.
I'm definitely looking forward to overall a better learning environment, just nicer building, a lot of the sports fields. It's going to be very nice. I'm very happy that they put the work in for the students and that they showed us that they care for us and that they're building an entire new school for us.
I'm looking forward to all the new resources that we'll have, the new classrooms, the new gym, just everything. I think it really shows how much our community appreciates our education, and they'll do anything to make sure that our education is the top priority.
Norfolk Public Schools celebrated its most inspiring educators during the 2027 Teacher of the Year ceremony. This amazing event featured student performances and recognized teachers from every school across the division for their outstanding commitment to our students. After the top elementary, middle, and high school teachers were announced, Interim Superintendent Dr. James Pohl had the honor of naming the 2027 Citywide Teacher of the Year.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege to recognize the new 2027 Norfolk Public Schools Citywide Teacher of the Year, Mr. Torian Pope.
All three finalists were stunned and deeply moved by this acknowledgement of all they do for young people in their classrooms each and every day.
Shocking. I'm very humbled by it, but also very shocked. I don't consider what I do anything special. I consider it what I was hired to do. It's a job, and I love it very, very much.
It's very exciting. I don't know any other word other than exciting. I'm almost lost for words. My husband's also a teacher, and so I know the hard work that goes into it. So to be recognized as this is such an honor, and just very big night for me.
I was shocked, amazed, humbled, overwhelming feeling. I never thought I would make it this far, but I'm thankful to all the people that thought that I could and supported me, and all the people that was in my corner up to this point. So it really is a humbling, and I'm thankful for this experience and opportunity to represent Norfolk.
For complete video stories and more division-wide information about Norfolk Public Schools, visit the NPS website and check out our YouTube channel, Facebook page, Instagram, and NPS newsletter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Pohl. We're going to now move down to 4.07, citizen comments. Ms. Tanner.
For today's citizens' comments, we have 3 speakers. Today's speakers signed up for public comments before the start of today's business meeting. If you would like to provide public comments, you are required to state the agenda item or items or a topic you are addressing prior to providing your public comments at this meeting. When your name is called, please come forward to the speaker's podium, speaker's mic, right here in the middle. Ms. Whitfield, raise your hand so you can make sure they know where to go. State your name and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools or if you are employed by the district, or state your agenda items. One person to speak at a time. If you're representing a group, state the group's name. You may ask your group members to stand in place to be recognized. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes. The timer is set with an alarm that will signify the end of your speaking time. Please state your position and give relevant facts. Avoid saying anything that identifies students or personnel information about individual employees. Personnel, disciplinary, and confidential matters may be addressed directly to the school board via email at schoolboard@npsk12.com. Comments should be addressed to the board and not addressed to an individual member. School board members do not respond to public comments at the time they are given. Any written statements or supporting materials should be given to me. Chairwoman Buffalo, excuse me, our first speaker for today is Morgan Crowder, followed by Liz Alpert. Excuse me. Morgan Crowder.
Good evening. My name is Morgan Crowder. This is the second time I've been speaking on this issue to the school board. I'm here to thank at least one person, but challenge everyone else. There was a administrative member that stepped up to help my son when no one else would. Not the superintendent, not the transportation department, not this board as a whole. So thank you to that one person who stepped up to help. But I'm not here just to say thank you. As an individual committed to systemic justice and advocacy, I'm not just going to stop just because my son got the help that he needed, just because that would be privileged. Other working families are still struggling with this broken system. Let me remind you, my son's babysitter lives 0.9 miles from his school. There is an NPS bus that drives past her address every day, and my son wasn't allowed to ride it because our home is 0.7 miles from the school. But here's the catch. There's also another NPS bus, number 425, that stops 100 feet from my home around 7 a.m. every day. Even though that's for special education, there's still a bus that goes to my neighborhood. So this wasn't about distance or resources or operational challenges. This was about rigid adherence to a policy that doesn't serve certain groups of families. I spent weeks emailing all of you on the board. My son missed 4 days of school because why would I send my child to school when no one would be able to reliably pick him up afterwards? I already explained that a bus already goes where he needs to be. I contacted state legislators, the mayor, city council, the Virginia Department of Education, and Special Education Ombudsman. The response? Silence, deflection. The superintendent told me that this was an administrative procedure outside of board oversight, and Richard Fraley didn't respond to emails. Both have been silent. The superintendent claimed that in writing, my son not being able to attend school does not constitute a denial of access to education. Think about that. A child can't get safely to or from school without transportation, but yet that's not denying access? That doesn't make sense. Again, I ask this board, do you accept that you have no responsibility when administrative processes prevent children from getting to and from school safely? I reject that. When procedures cause harm to children and families, someone must have oversight. If not this elected board, then who? I'm asking the board to take responsibility, review these transportation procedures, and make changes to let families utilize alternate transportation along existing routes, no matter if they live within a mile of the school. Other districts do this. It's not impossible. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tanner, next speaker.
Liz Alpert.
Good evening. School board members and Dr. Pohl, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Liz Albert, and I do not have children in public schools, and I'd like to comment on the search for a superintendent. When 3 of you terminated Dr. Birdsong without cause, you are making the statement that her qualifications were not acceptable and that someone more experienced could be found. What were Dr. Birdsong's qualifications? She worked for NPS for 26 years. She had 6 years as a successful superintendent leading a large urban school system, and she navigated NPS through the crisis of COVID. I'd like to ask, does your preferred candidate meet those standards? And I have some questions for you. Does he or she have any experience in NPS or in Virginia for that matter? Does his or her tenure as superintendent meet or exceed Dr. Birdsong's? And can this person demonstrate he or she has successfully addressed the unique challenges of a large urban school system? Has this person navigated his or her school district through COVID? And can he or she provide evidence that the learning recovery strategies implemented were successful? If your candidate for the position of superintendent doesn't meet these standards, you will be making a mistake that will hurt the children and staff of NPS. Your previous behavior concerning the superintendent position does not breed confidence. You have already given the school district a black eye by your treatment of Dr. Birdsong before, during, and after you terminated her without cause. Also, you made the district look unwise by violating the Code of Virginia by not filing the superintendent search extension request properly with the Virginia Department of Education, and therefore you were granted only a 60-day extension instead of the much-needed 180-day extension the Virginia Department of Education typically approves. And if 4 of you vote for a superintendent who does not even meet the employment standards you imply were not good enough, you will show an overwhelming lack of wisdom. Please do not embarrass yourselves, NPS, and the city of Norfolk by hiring an inferior candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. James Betancourt. Okay. And I have to make.
Yes, sir. You may step up.
Are you Carter Mellon?
Moline, yes.
Moline,
Yes.
Yes, good evening. This is public comment to the Norfolk City Public School Board on January 21, 2026. My name is Carter Moline, and I moved to Norfolk to become a member of the Virginia Symphony Cello Section, and I still do that same job today. I have a wife, Jacqueline, and a daughter, Olivia. I want to inform you today about the Norfolk Interagency Consortium. My daughter ended up in that administration, and I cannot say for certain when that happened, but it did involve the Academy for Discovery at Lakewood. I have found no federal or state laws funding this, and I have found no federal or state laws naming its committees. If what I'm saying is true, then the Norfolk City Council operated a law that didn't exist at the time it was utilized. There are actually 2 attorneys who are expertly qualified to understand that the Norfolk Interagency Consortium. One is former Mayor Paul Frame, and the other is current City Attorney Bernard Pishko. Since City Attorney Pishko is your current attorney, I am requesting that you obtain from him the correct state and federal documents mandating the existence of the Norfolk Interagency Consortium by name during my daughter's lifetime, which started in 2003. Please add that to your website and provide me with a copy. I would like to thank my school board representative, Tanya Bashin, for being a compassionate listener to my struggles with my daughter's education. If the Norfolk Public Schools cannot produce a valid reason for the Norfolk Interagency Consortium existing, then all actions under its administration should be considered criminal. So I have 1 minute left. I just want to share with you, I have a copy of this probably for all of you. I'll keep one, and then I will give one to whoever I give it to so that you can read it over. You want me to walk it up to you?
You could hand it to Ms. Whitfield behind you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. You have a lovely evening. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, and this concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Tanner. We're going to move on to 4.08, approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It was a motion by Dr. Martin, second by Colonel Polson. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo?
Aye. 6.01, monthly financial report. Dr. Pohl?
Thank you. I'd like to invite Mr. Starks on stage to the podium to do the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the school board. I will begin with a summary of revenues and expenditures for the period ending December 31st, 2025, reported as of January 12, 2026. This interim report is prepared on a budgetary encumbrance basis and is intended to support in-year fiscal oversight rather than GAAP financial reporting. Total state funds for the fiscal year total $273.7 million, of which 41.3% have been received year to date. This includes standards of quality funding, sales tax, lottery, and incentive funds. Total city funds total $170.8 million, or 48.4% received year to date. City funding is tracking appropriately based on the timing of scheduled appropriations. Total revenue from all sources, including federal, local funds, and assigned fund balance equal $476 million as of December 31st. 46.3% have been realized. On the expenditure side, total expenditures and encumbrances equal $207.4 million, representing approximately 43.6% of the revised budget. As a result, revenues exceed expenditures and encumbrances by approximately $13 million at this point in the fiscal year. This positive variance reflects normal timing differences and does not represent surplus funds available for reallocation. We'll move to page 3 of the report. The revised general fund totals $476 million as of 31 December. At the aggregate level, spending patterns are reasonable for the midpoint of the fiscal year. However, this summary also highlights areas where budget stress needs to be re-examined. Explanation of negative balances. While most functional areas remain within acceptable ranges, several accounts require special attention. For example, special education purchase services. Purchase services within special education reflect encumbrances that exceed the available balance, resulting in a negative balance of approximately $3 million. This is driven primarily by contracted services and specialized placements that were encumbered early in the fiscal year. While instructional staffing remains stable, this category represents the most significant budgetary pressure at this time. The student attendance and health purchase services area also reflects a negative balance of approximately $592K. This is attributable to contracted health and student support services. These costs, however, are timing related, but require reconciliation to ensure appropriate funding alignment. Pupil transportation purchase services. Transportation purchase services show very limited remaining availability. It reflects fuel costs, service agreements, and vehicle costs that are largely encumbered. While currently manageable, this category leaves little flexibility for the remainder of the fiscal year. Operation and maintenance utilities. Utilities are heavily encumbered with only approximately 3% of the budget remaining available. This reflects seasonal usage, contracted rates, and will require continued monitoring throughout the winter months. Minor negative balances. Several negative balances appear in non-regular day school, miscellaneous benefits, and internal services. These are administrative in nature and will be corrected through routine accounting adjustments. Overall, these negative balances do not indicate a district-wide fiscal imbalance. Rather, they reflect concentrated cost pressure in specific service areas that are being actively managed. So we'll now move to grants. The district currently administers approximately $115 million in federal and state grant awards as of December 31st, 2025. $59.3 million, or 51.6%, has been expended or encumbered, and $55.7 million remain available. There's a current lag in grants because of Perkins grant, and that money has just been released by the federal government. We have a plan in place to catch up with that. State grants. State grants total $53.9 million, and approximately 51% have been utilized. The school construction assistant grant remains largely unspent due to project phasing and long lead times, which is expected at this stage. In general, grant managers have been directed to ensure that their short-term expenditures and implementation plans are being worked. In closing, we remain fiscally stable at the aggregate level. These issues identified tonight are specific, well understood, and manageable. My team and Dr. Pohl are actively addressing any negative balances and preparing for any necessary adjustments for board consideration. I will continue to keep the board informed and will bring any required budgetary amendments or corrective actions in a timely manner to you. Are there any questions at this time?
School board members, you've heard the report. Are there any questions? Ms. Basine?
Thank you, Mr. Starks, for the very thorough review of our financial report for this month. So the areas right now that you talked about where we are seeing those higher negative balances, I appreciate the explanation of what those costs are going, what those purchase services are going towards. How are we planning for that in the budget in the for this upcoming year? Are we planning in anticipation of continuing those services for special education and student health in particular, and for pupil and transportation? Can you speak to that a little bit?
That's a thoughtful question. Most of those balances reflect from encumbrances, which is natural for all three of those areas, and encumbrances are where we are putting in funding requirements ahead of time. So most of those program managers are working those, and that's typically what you're going to see. You're going to see that in special education throughout their execution, because that particular area needs the ability to flex.
Sure.
And so that's why you will see that frequently with special ed.
Okay, thank you. And then under grants for the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Program, we are currently at 11.8% of usage of those grant funds, which I think expire end in July. Is this typically where we are?
Yeah, we're in good shape with
Okay.
that one also. In fact, just yesterday I had a meeting with Dr. Cito, and we have a plan in place. And she's an outstanding grant manager, so I have a high, I think we're going to execute that
Okay.
funding.
Okay, great. I know that's a growing needed area, so I just wanted to be sure that our students are
That's
supported.
one that we
Yeah.
are on top of.
Okay, great.
If I can add, Ms. Messina, if you recall also in this year's budget, we increased our transportation allotments so that we're able to use that in different ways than we have in the
Right,
past.
right. Yes, thank you for that. And finally, my last question is really around the audit, and if we could receive like a status update on where we are with that.
I have that for this week's bulletin.
What's that?
I have that for this week's bulletin.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report as presented, subject to audit?
I move to accept this month's monthly financial report, subject to audit.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo?
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Starks.
He's going to stay there.
Oh, you're going to stay there? Okay, we'll stay there. And we're going to move on to 6.02, update of the governor's budget. Dr. Pohl.
And Mr. Stark's going to just do a brief overview of the updated governor's budget. As we know, that is also still in flux with the new administration taking lead in Richmond now. Go ahead, Mr. Stark.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll provide a summary of the slide deck that we have here. I'll summarize the scale of the proposed investment, highlight key funding initiatives, and identify areas where proposals provide fiscal relief, as well as areas that continue to require local financial support and monitoring as the budget advances through the General Assembly. On slide number 2, this slide illustrates the overall scope of the Commonwealth's proposed investment in public education over the biennium. For fiscal year 2027, the proposal reflects $13.62 billion, followed by $13.48 billion in fiscal year 2028. These figures represent the state's base budget plus addenda and incorporate updated assumptions related to inflation, enrollment trends, and cost recalibration. While the aggregate investment remains substantial, it is important to note that the statewide totals do not translate directly to division-level impact. Actual funding comes from Norfolk Public Schools will depend on final legislative action. Slide 3. Investment in talent, compensation, and supplements. A central component of the governor's proposal is continued investment in employee compensation. That budget includes a 2% salary increase for SOQ-funded instructional and support position. This reflects an acknowledgement at the state level of persistent workforce pressures across public education. Slide number 4, indirect fiscal support and retirement contributions. This slide reflects a significant form of indirect state support for retirement contributions. The governor's proposal allocates $185 million in fiscal year 2027 and $100 million in fiscal year 2028 from the Literacy Fund to support teacher retirement costs statewide. While these appropriations do not represent or present a new operating revenue, they effectively reduce expenditure pressure that would otherwise fall to the school divisions. For NPS, this translates into budgetary stabilization and improved capacity to manage personnel costs within the general fund. Slide 5. In terms of the next steps, we'll continue to work with Dr. Pohl to incorporate the governor's proposed figures into our budget that we're currently working on. And that concludes my comments.
School board members, you've heard the update. Are there any questions? Okay, well, Mrs. Starks, thank you. And Dr. Pohl, if I recall, you're going to give the budget presentation at the February 4th meeting.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda, school board members. But before we go, I hit the gavel. I do want to say happy retirement, Dr. Cataldo. Well deserved. I'm going to open the floor if there's any school board members who would like to make some comment.
Public Schools. Well done, sir, and I wish you well on your next endeavor.
Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you, and when you want to come back, come back. You
Yes,
are very appreciative, and thank you. Come back.
Awesome, awesome.
And I just want to echo those thoughts. Thank you for the work that you have done for the school board. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for everything. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, well, with no other business, this meeting is adjourned.